Johnny, we're all experiencing isolation at the moment due to COVID-19, some unfortunately more extensively than others. Are there lessons from history that give blockchain technology a place in today's world?
Well, it's interesting. The older you get, the more you realise history is so relevant and what it can teach you. So, just going through some analysis and reports recently, the word quarantine, Latin word, and Italian means 40, and it was used during the Black Death. First, I think 1347 to 1350, when a third of the European population was wiped out. But it's interesting, the Medici dynasty, so the Medici family allegedly, in today's terms, will be worth a staggering $129 billion, making the money from banking and trading, and arguably made Florence the epicentre of the Renaissance period in the sort of 1620s. And they actually found in 1629, in the winter, the plague was coming down from France, from Villfranche and the Languedoc area. And so they posted guards on the roads approaching Florence and basically said, we want to see your ID cards. So there was a description of the person and their health records. And if people actually refused, they were either put in prison, and those that actually wouldn't comply were shot. And that's what I call violation of human rights around identity cards. But the Florence citizens that did actually were compliant, they actually went into quarantine for 40 days and 40 nights. And they saw this particular gentleman who was actually wandering around the streets, and he was the plague doctor. Because what happened is that Florence actually fed and watered their citizens for those 40 days and 40 nights. And as a result, the death toll in Florence was only 12% compared to Verona's at the time, which was 60%. Now, many commentators have argued this caused a shift in power from the southern Mediterranean countries to northern Europe, because we saw death tolls in southern Europe of sort of 30%, whereas in France and the UK, we only saw death tolls of around about 10%. Interesting, in 1631, the French Parliament actually ordered every locality to set up a health board and issue these identity cards, these digital health cards. So one wonders, are we going to see a return to vaccination cards, certificates, where your health data is being held and you've got to prove of your medical credentials before you enter into a foreign country? If that is the case, then will we see blockchain technology being used whereby the owner of their healthcare information, the individual, will be able to give access to the people to their healthcare information on a peer-to-peer basis? This is part of the initiative behind COVID-19 Credentials Initiative, whereby a digital certificate is being issued and giving the control to the individual to control who has that information. So maybe there are indeed some lessons to be learned from history, and using digital technologies like blockchain will help fight not just COVID-19, but potentially other future pandemics.